What's up gamers, it's TreesapJake here with yet another video, and today's video is what I'm super excited for. We've talked about the sort of potential changes that are coming with the Shaman Talents. Now I can actually talk to you about them. I'm in the alpha. This is obviously a test build, but we're in and we can have a look at them. So I wanted to make sure I did it on the alpha. Obviously I haven't got all the full points unlocked, but I'm going to talk you through my path things, and I've got a couple that I've been having a look at and they're kind of like going down that way. And I'm going to talk about just Elemental Shaman in general, I think going into Dragonflight and just my thoughts on it. So let's get started. The sort of first thing that I wanted to really talk about is I think Elemental Shaman and Shaman in general has gotten a fantastic tree. If you ever watched any of my videos, you know, in the past, when I do commentaries, when I talk about Shaman, I think one of the big things that's important and what's really cool about them is their utility. As a class, they have high damage and high utility, which is perfect for them. They've now got even more utility. They've got all the things that we loved in Shadowlands, and I'm going to say it, Shadowlands version of Shaman was the best version of Shaman since MOP. It genuinely was. Like, Elemental Shaman's in the best state it's been in a long time. I didn't even enjoy it that much in Legion, to be honest. But we've got a lot of the best parts from Legion. We've got the best parts from Shadowlands. We've got the best parts from BFA. All the best parts are coming back now. And plus everything that we've always had. The option now, the problem now is that we can't choose everything, or at least at this stage we can't. So you're going to have about 31 points in your general tree and about 30 points, I believe, in the Elemental Shaman tree to be able to choose from. And I'm going to kind of go over what I'd be choosing and what options I have. I'm also going to be talking you through the kind of different parts of the general tree and what I feel it does, in the same way that the Evoker tree has very different parts. It kind of has different sections that you can kind of vaguely get the idea of. So let's crack on. So this is my second test build. I obviously done a couple and I'll kind of have a look through things. I'm going to walk you through it and the reason why I've kind of gone down this way and the options that you can do. So obviously at the start, the ones that you really start off with is Lava Burst and Chain Lightning. Those ones are guaranteed they're going to be stuck down there. On the left hand side, you've kind of got your Resto talents. Down the sort of middle, you've kind of got your utility, your kind of like Ellie utility sort of things. And then on the right hand side, you've kind of got stuff that works for enhanced, like your melee. So that's kind of how it's built for me, at least. Sort of like your left hand side is kind of like Resto Ellie, the right hand side is your enhanced sort of style of things. Now just bear in mind, this isn't a specific side, but it's just kind of the stuff that sort of alludes to it. So it kind of means that as an enhancement shaman, you can kind of get stuff that sort of Resto has, kind of get stuff that that Ellie has, and you can kind of do that way. But obviously, you know, and it's the same with Resto. It changes and evolves, but I think that's what's really cool. You can kind of mix and match in the same way that you could back in the day. Like in Wrath and TBC before the change of talents in MOP, the style. I think there's lots of things you can do. So this is kind of the path that I've gone down. Obviously you want to take Astral Shift. Astral Shift is a big one. It starts off at 2 minutes. So that's why I think this is a necessity. Changing it to being a 1 minute 30, which is important. It's important to have that cooldown up as quickly as possible, and its duration increased by 6 seconds, which should bring it up to 14 seconds, which is about what it is now. So yeah, you can do that now. I think that's probably best. I don't think 60% damage every 2 minutes is going to do much for you. So I think this is personally the build that I'd go for. Wind Shear is a necessity. You need Wind Shear. It's just the best thing ever. It's the it's obviously the shortest cooldown kick, and it's one of the best things. It's one of the big, I suppose, class identities for Shaman. So I've also gone for Earth Elemental. I think this is a big cooldown every 5 minutes for 1 minute. You've got your maximum health increase by 15%. It's going to be big when you're tanking things. It's been big for leveling, I think. It'll be really big for PvP, obviously getting yourself your health. I think this is just a very good thing to have as like a potential second wall if you take sort of like the Prime Elementalist talent in the elemental side of things. So I'm going to go over that as well. I definitely think you need Frost Shock. I think Frost Shock is just vital. You need to be able to slow things in order to actually even just do damage. You need to be able to catch things up. You need to be able to kite things with the Frost Shock, and it's obviously got no cooldown, so you just instantly do that, and I think it's a very good ability. It's not the best slow in the world, but it's the only slow that we've normally got, and I think it's vital pretty much in all Shaman specs. I think Cleanse Spirit is also big, being able to remove curses. That means if you get hexed, you can remove it. You can remove Athlete curses, you can remove slows, lots of things that are curse based. I think that's important. Cap Totem, also another important thing to get. Make sure that you can stun things. It's long range stuns. You can stop drinks. You can crowd control people. It's very important. I've also gone for Fire and Ice. I think increasing all the fire and frost damage you deal by 3% is also big. I think it's just extra damage coming out from your Lava Burst, which is a big deal. Obviously, Lightning Bolt and Lava Burst I think are going to hit quite hard on Dragonflight, so that's quite good. Tremor Totem, again, another massive part of your Shaman identity. This is a really big, important, I think, cooldown to have. And I think this is the reason why I go for that. Now, there are a few options here. I don't think any of this is vital. I don't think casting Flame Shot reduces the mana cost of your next heal. I think this is a resto option. I think this is also possibly an enhance option. Maelstrom Weapon. Now, I know there have been people talking about this, but I think as an elemental shaman, the possibility of you melee attacking, unless you're queuing, unless there is a, I think potentially there is a build for this, you know, when you're queuing into warriors or melee, I think you can heal. You can do your heal. You can heal yourself very easily by just letting your weapon attack. So you could do primal strike and you just melee people when they're in your face, and then eventually you have Maelstrom Weapon. But I think if you're spending your time meleeing or not casting or not doing anything else as a means of doing damage, I think this could be bad. And also, you'd have to wait on casting, which is not something that I'd want to do. You know, I don't think this is a viable option for PvP. I know that people have been talking about it, but I really think this is strictly an enhanced option because you're going to actually be meleeing things. You're not going to be casting, whereas for Ellie, even if I press like, you know, like stuff like, you know, sort of like a heal, or if I press Lava Burst, I mean, there's a chance that this totally restacks from a Lava Surge proc. Who knows at this stage? It's something that you'd have to test, but I don't think you're going to have the time to be able to do this, especially to get stacks of Maelstrom. So I don't think this is going to be work. I think there's a niche for it, and I'd have to test it, and I think it'd probably be into melee cleaves where this would be useful, but I don't think it's going to be vital for anything else, and I think it's just a potential like one-off ability, a one-off thing that might work in certain cases. So yeah, we'll see, we'll test it, and I'm sure there'll be other Shaman creators that will definitely test it, but I don't think this is worth your time, at least if you're not queuing into melee. Now, Earth Shield, this is probably my biggest one. I might take up Earth Shield. I think it's a good ability. I think it was good when Shaman have that. I still think this should be baseline. I think a lot of these abilities should be baseline. They shouldn't really be in the talent tree, but hey ho. I think you could take this. There are options to take this. I think I definitely take this in certain builds, and I'm going to talk about this as well. But I think, you know, in healing wise, this is vital for a lot of comps, especially if you've been trained. But it's not necessary. I mean, if you've got a lot of healing coming out anyway, you just put Lightning Shield on yourself, and I think that'll probably do it. Probably won't take Ancestral Defense. I think this is a PvE talent. In terms of the cap totems, I don't think this is crazy. Reducing the cooldown on cap totem and each enemy it stuns reduces the maximum reduction by 20%, 20 seconds. Sorry, I think this could be situational. I think this was a really cool talent that we had back in the day. I think also dropping the second cap totem is just unnecessary because you have a lot of stuns anyway, and you'll probably play with a lot of classes that have stuns, so probably don't need to do this. But I think Static Charge is a good one potentially, but I don't think it's vital. I think there are a lot of other options on the talent tree that I'd want to be taking over this. So going down a bit more, I want to go Earth Grab. Now, this coming back for Ellie is massive. I mean, this is just incredible because not only do you get, you know, you pop down the totem and it pulses every 2 seconds, rooting all enemies within 8 yards for 8 seconds, and that's a really, really big thing. So every 2 seconds people are rooted, but enemies previously rooted by the totem instead suffer 50% movement speed reduction. So if they're in there and every 2 seconds, like they get out and it procs again, they then have their speed reduced by 50%. So basically it's also an Earthbind totem as well if they've been rooted before, which is amazing. This means that our kiting capability is incredible. This means that we can run behind pillars and Earth Grab people, which is great. Oh, hallelujah, this is amazing. So yeah, kiting becomes a lot easier for shamans. Now, the throw up between Greater Purge and Purge, I think just regular Purge is better. I'd much rather have, you know, if haste becomes an important cooldown, stat again, then this is probably better. I'd much rather have the Purge and be able to purge things than do it once and be 15-second cooldown. I mean, we have a lot of buffs. Let's say you queue into Ardruid, you're not going to be able to get the combust this way. I'd much rather be spamming Purge than having to wait 15 seconds to get 2 magical effects. Honest to God, I probably can get 2 magical effects in 3 seconds just by taking the regular Purge, and it costs less mana. So We'll probably leave it at that. I think they need to change this. For this to be a viable option, it needs to be at maybe 5 seconds or something, just a smaller cooldown. But 15 seconds is crazy. I can do all of that with regular purge, so I'm going to stick with regular purge. Obviously, Hex is a must. That's your biggest CC. 30-second cooldown. I don't think you need to go for these options. They don't need to be slowed, and I don't think you need to reduce the cooldown to 20. I don't think that it really needs it. I mean, it's a potential, but every 30 seconds is more than enough. I think this will be perfectly fine. I've never felt really the 20 seconds in Shadowlands. I mean, it's really good for being able to deal with people, but pretty much you can DR it really badly, and you can DR it with poly, so it might as well be 30 seconds, so you know guaranteed it's going to be a full CC duration. Nature's Fury, increase the critical strike chance of your nature spells. This is big. This is big for any nature spell, so that's your Lightning Bolt, so Stormkeeper Lightning Bolts. This is your Earth Shock, that sort of damage. I think that's important. I think this is a good talent. Also, it will go into the Ellie tree where you get 250% increased crit as well. That's a lot of damage. Winds of Alakir, increase the movement speed bonus of Ghostwolf by 10%, and when you have 3 or more totems active, your movement speed is increased by 15%. So obviously you can put down certain things like Earthbind, Earth Grab, Cap Totem, certain bits and pieces like that. Tremor Totem, your movement speed will be down by 15%. So I don't know whether that's the second half that's useful, but I want to take this because I'd really want Gust of Wind. Gust of Wind is a massive kiting technique with Earth Grab, Gust of Wind, Earthbind, and then obviously other bits and pieces, like maybe even one of these Ghost Wolf talents, Spirit Wolf or Thunderous Paws. You'll be basically unable to catch. People will be unable to catch you every so often, so you'll be able to really kite and kind of use that with your teammates in order to actually kite melee if you wanted to. So, or also technically like not keep people down if you're queuing into a mage cleave, like any sort of wizards, then you'll be able to chase them down. Ankh here I think is a PvE talent. Obviously the flurry and the focused insight sort of stuff, I don't think these are sort of like enhanced things that I don't think you need. Nature's Guardian, pretty big. I think what does it do? It sort of it instantly heals you 10%. I think the 20% is needed. This is a really good healing capability when you're stuck in CC as well. Once every 45 seconds, so pretty much every minute you've got 20% heal, which is great. Obviously rough into Mind Games. I know Mind Games is coming back, but this is a really good ability, I think, and it won't be near. I don't think Mind Games is nearly going to be a buff, so this is going to be a strong thing. Healing Stream Totem is also a possibility. I am taking it in this one, but obviously I don't have as many points really to work with, but I think Healing Stream is really good, and that has helped me in the past. I don't think it'll be as buffed as it might be in Shadowlands, but it will be pretty good potentially as just general healing. I think Totemic Surge is also pretty good, reduces the cooldown of your totems up to 4 seconds. I think this will be pretty nice into certain comps, but it might be a pick and choose. I've gone down to improved Lightning Bolt at this stage, Thunderstorm, and I've got Lasso at the minute. And that's the kind of pathway that I'm going for. There's lots of options here, and I think Nature Swiftness could be a really cool one, but again, that's sort of like an NS heal, an NS hex, that sort of thing that can kind of like get you guaranteed CC. That sort of thing would be really, really good. That's how I can see that worked. I think Surge. I think going down this way, I'm not really too fussed by a lot of the ones down here, in all honesty. Like the bottom talents aren't that amazing. I think Stone Skin Totem 10% isn't that great. I mean, it's a potential. It's something that could be used. I think Ancestral Guidance also not that amazing. Mana Spring Totem could be good to kind of make sure that you've got some mana to party members when you cast Lava Burst. That's a big thing. But honestly, in my opinion, you kind of want most of the middle row. I'd make sure that I get Totemic Surge, maybe Nature Swiftness at this point, Healing Stream Totem, Gust of Wind, that sort of thing. And that would be my focus in the general tree. I think that's probably the best options for Elemental Shaman. Not blown away by the bottom ones, but a lot of the middle ones, it's the utility that you want from the general tree, and I think that's what my kind of go-to is. If I look at my other options here, I've taken away Lasso here and Thunderstorm, even though I'd probably go for Thunderstorm if I could. So for example, I'd probably still take Thunderstorm if I could get the full points, but I've gone for the kind of Spirit Wolf here, so I've got faster Ghost Wolf. I'd probably want to pick up Frost Shock as well, and I still kind of go down the similar tree. I've got an Earth Shield this time, which I think is really good, and Gust of Wind. I think those are my sort of major options. With the extra bit more, I'd probably go for Thunderstorm, probably NS, probably Frost Shock as well. The reason why I haven't gone Lasso, and this is something that I really just wanted to touch on very quickly, it is still a PvP talent here. I don't know whether this is a bug. I don't know whether this is a bug and the fact that it is also a PvP talent, but it looks like for Elemental Shaman, you're also able to pick up Lightning Lasso as a PvP talent. Thus, do you need to spend the point in the general tree? Now, this is a question that I will answer very, very quickly. And the answer is I would pick it up in the general tree. And the reason why is because there is this ability called precognition, which is a passive. If an interrupt is used on you while you are not casting, aka you fake cast someone, you gain 15% haste and become immune to control effects for 4 seconds. If you fake a rogue before they do anything, before you cast Healing Surge, you cast Stormkeeper, you cast Lava Burst, and you fake them out, you get 15% haste, and you become immune to control effects for 4 seconds. AKA, this is like a mini, that trinket that really everyone used to hate. I can't remember its name at the minute. But it's incredible. I think this is insane. I personally would take the general tree, and then I'd take this, because having to take Lasso as a PvP talent is quite annoying. It means you can just throw things up. If you don't need this, if you're not queuing in to eat kicked, you can fucking take Sky Fury Totem and have a great time. There's lots of options you can do, but I think this is an incredible ability. Also, extra haste. 15% haste is huge. That's a massive amount of haste. You're just suddenly, for 4 seconds, you just sort of start, like, you could literally cast a Hex and get some CC out into a Lasso on someone else, and suddenly their whole go is absolutely messed up. You fake a cast from a Warlock, and they can't even spam for you. No one can do any fearing to you. You fake an interrupt from the Rep Warrior, and then you can no longer Stormbolt you or do anything to you or slow you or anything like that, and you just start running. It's amazing. So yeah, Precognition is a good one. I'm obviously going to get onto PvP talents in a bit, but I just thought I'd point that one out there before we continue. So obviously moving on to the Elemental Shaman tree, I think this is interesting. This is where you get your Earth Shock, so obviously that's a big concussive damage that comes out. And what I've kind of seen from here is that on the left-hand side of the sort of the tree, kind of going down towards where Earthquake is on here on the left-hand side, that is your kind of like your nature damage, your lightning damage. Down the middle is your utility, the things that sort of like big utility damage, and then on the right hand side is your fire damage. So that's kind of like how I see things moving. I think personally, if I had more points, I'll explain this, but I think kind of a balance of the both on the left and the right hand side will make you a force to be reckoned with. For me, it's about getting the damage out and then also the utility. So I've gone for Earthquake here. I think this is vital. I think you need to go down this way. I think this, a chance for there to be enemies to be knocked over is the main thing. This is really, really good for just stopping anything. I think stopping like healing, stopping casters, it procs a lot. And I think it's, as we've seen in Shadowlands, with the Earth Ellie that kind of chased you, it does considerable amount of disruption sometimes. And it's really good for pinning people down behind pillars. So Elemental Fury, this is also what I'm talking about. This is your 250% damage instead of usual 200%. This is why Elemental has always gotten massive crits. This is just how they work, and I think it's really, really good. Fire Ellie is just in general a strong ability. Every 2.5 minute cooldown, it just hits people for a truck, like for 30 seconds. And when it's active, your Flame Shock deals damage 25% faster, which means more Lava Surges, which we're going to get onto. I've then also gone down here, Ancestral Wolf Affinity, Cleanse Spirit, Wind Shear, Purged, and Totem Cast no longer cancel Ghost Wolf. I think this is a good idea. It means that you can run and kick, and then you can still continue to run. You can put down totems and still run. This is amazing for kiting. I don't think Primordial Fury is needed. I just don't think it's going to be needed. I think this synergizes Ancestral Wolf Affinity, really synergizes with Spirit Wolf. I think you'll just be really tanky and just be able to run, purge, kick, totems, cast, everything. Like I think all of the stuff that you need to do will be there, and you will just still be able to kite. So your healer gets hexed, you can still run and like get rid of the hex on your healer, and they can help you then. I've also gone down this way I've gone Tumultuous Fissures. I think increase the chance of Earthquake to knock enemies down by 50%. This is usually 5%, it's now 7.5%. So there's almost a 10% chance that they get knocked over. This happens a lot, and obviously it's every single time that Earthquake ticks. So as long as they stand in it, there is a huge chance they're not going to get knocked over. I also think that you could go for this. So Purge, Cleanse Spirit, Healing Stream, Totem, Hex. Wind Shear generates 8 Maelstrom during combat. I think this is a potential as well. If you're not too bothered by the 5% chance and you think 7.5 isn't big enough, then you could go for this, and you could always get Maelstrom, which means that you get more damage out. So maybe Inundate might be the play. On the right hand side, I've gone for Primordial Bond. I think whilst you have an Elemental active, and that's also your Earth Ellie, your damage taken is reduced by 5%. Just having 5% damage reduction when you've got Earth Ellie or Fire Ellie up is really big. You could also go Refreshing Waters if you really thought that it might be you need to heal yourself more. But I honestly think just having your like other healing abilities and everything else that comes with the Primordial Bond is the better one. Lava Surge is a must. You must go down this way. You just 10% chance to reset your reigning cooldown on Lava Burst is important. Lava Surge is a massive, massive part of the identity of the class. I also think Master of Elements is a really big thing. This has always been insane. Just any of your nature and frost damage, physical, whatever, healing, regardless, is big. So this means that you can cast Lava Burst and then heal yourself more, which I think is a change, by the way. This used to be just damage. But yeah, any nature and frost, so basically next time you cast Lightning Bolt, next time you cast Earth Shock, it'll be big. I've also gone down Call of Thunder, which has increased the damage of a Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, and Storm Elemental by 15%. I think just having extra damage on your Lightning Bolt is big. I think this will mean that Lightning Bolt hits a lot harder than it used to, and I think this is important. I've also gone down High Voltage, aka Lightning Bolt generates into 2 additional Maelstrom, so more Maelstrom from your Lightning Bolt, which is big. I think there are a few options here. I would never take Ice Fury. I think Ice Fury is PvE talent, unless there are some cool builds that you can go in there. Maybe kind of having a look at this, like casting Frost Shock increases the damage of your next Lava Burst by 20%. Like options like that. But I think I don't really want to be casting Ice Fury. It's another thing to cast, and I think I'd much rather focus on Lava Burst and the synergy between that in a similar way that it has been in Shadowlands, because that synergy feels really good and the damage you can put out is really big. This is again like Frost Shock damage up to 4 additional enemies, and the targets hit 15% damage, 15% increased damage from your nature spells. I think this is again a PvE option, so I wouldn't go for that. I think you could definitely go for Swelling Maelstrom. This is a potential, but again, maybe not necessary. I never feel like having it 150 extra helps. Maybe you get extra things out, but I don't really think you need it. Aftershock is a potential as well, Elemental Blast, so obviously that would be Earth Shock in this case, has a 25% chance to refund all Maelstrom. I think this is a good ability. I think I enjoyed it when I played this style, and being able to play everything that I like to play plus have this means that you can get some nasty damage out. And then on the right hand side, Call of Fire, increase the damage of your Flame Shock, Lava Burst, Lava Beam, Fire Elemental by 10%, again more fire damage. Flame Shock's damage over time effect now occurs 15% more quickly, aka potential more Lava Bursts, so Lava Surge procs a lot more. Improved Flame Tongue weapon. I mean, you just put Flame Tongue weapon on your weapon and increases your fire spell damage by 5%, so extra fire spell damage, which is important. Then you've got Flames of the Fire Lord, reduce the cooldown of Flame Shock by 3 seconds. I think this puts it down to a 3-second cast, which is insane. That means you can spread Flame Shocks again. Woo! This is really good. Really, really good. I wouldn't take Storm Elemental. Don't think it's worthwhile. I think I'd much rather focus on the Fire Burst build. I'd probably go for Primal Elementalist. I think this will increases the sort of make them way more powerful, and then you have all the abilities. This also means having your second wall. I think that's necessary in PvP. I think there's options for Magma Chamber here. And then Sky Breakers is also a pretty good ability. You could probably go down there to increase your Fire Elemental. But the thing is though, is that there's no buff. I don't think we have quite the same buff capability, but having Fire Elemental out is pretty good anyway. I think Flame Shock, there are certain builds in here that would make Flame Shocks good, especially as they're now down to a 3-second cast now, so Flame Shocks can be spread really easily. On the left hand side here, I've gone down to Stormkeeper. I think Stormkeeper is a really good ability. It has always hit quite hard. So I think it'll be something that does continue to hit quite hard. I've also gone for Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning, reducing the cooldown of your nature spells by 1 per second. I think every time you cast Lightning Bolt, this means that your nature abilities, so anything like Elemental Blast here, which is something I'm going to talk about, or your I think it might even do your totems. It'll do your lightning lasso. It'll do your hex. The cooldown on those is reduced by 1 second. CDR is important. I think this is an underrated ability. I wouldn't want to reduce the Maelstrom cost of Earthquake and Earth Shock or by much. I don't think it's really necessary. What I do want to take is Primordial Wave. I think Primordial Wave is insane, especially as you can just duplicate your ability. This was really cool in the Flame Shock ability in Shadowlands, sorry, where you're able to basically do a lot of Lava Burst and just spread them around. I think this synergizes really, really well with Deeply Rooted Elements, which I think is really cool. Lava Burst has a 7% chance to activate Ascendance. You can also take Ascendance. You could also have Ascendance. You can have Lasso, Stormkeeper, and Ascendance. You can have all of this, and you could have that as a big 3-minute cooldown, and then you could also have your Stormkeeper. But I think it's very easy to CC people when they pop big cooldowns like this, even though it lasts, for however long. I think, I don't know if it says, yeah, for 15 seconds, sorry. That's a lot of time. You can be CC'd for that. I think Deeply Rooted Elements is better. I think the reason why it's so strong at the minute in Shadowlands is because you just have, once you proc, it just does a huge amount of damage. You can proc loads, you can proc back to back, and it's just the huge amount of damage that comes out that can be kind of crazy. So yeah, I mean, this is basically it. I don't think there's any. I think you have got some options here. that kind of like are not as great down the bottom end. You have options to go for another Stormkeeper down here. It's you can go for different options. I mean, it's allowed you to pick up Stormkeeper in 2 different places, which I don't quite understand the options here and the reason why they've done it like that. There's a few things that I'm not necessarily convinced on, but I think anything that kind of buffs your lava burst damage, that buffs the damage coming out in general, and just like the synergy between, you know, again, lava surge, instant cast, kiting, everything like that, this is the kind of ideal. If we kind of go to my other test option here, again, I've gone down this path. So I've got Stormkeeper. I haven't got Flash of Lightning, but I probably would pick that up. I haven't picked up Primal Elementalist, but I probably would do. And I've gone down Primal Wave, Tumbling Waves to get the 30% chance to not incur any cooldown, and then Splintered Elements as well to kind of increase your haste. I probably, to be honest with you, I probably want to kind of make sure I'm getting the reduced Flame Shock, and I'm going down this way, and I'm sort of doing extra damage. Like, all of this synergy works pretty well, and I think low cooldown on Flame Shock, big damage on your Lava Burst, Flame Tongue Weapon increasing your 5% extra damage for, you know, it's just big. Like, it all synergizes really, really well. But this is kind of like my go-to build. I think the Shaman Talents, at least Elemental, everyone's been saying how much fun they've had. Maybe it'll change. There's a few things here that I'm a little bit confused about, why there's 2 Stormkeepers in the row. I think this is a bit strange. I think, you know, there are options that you can take here, but I think in general on the left hand side, this is kind of mostly the build that I'd want to be going for, especially with some gusts of wind. But I think there's some options here that you can throw some bits around. I think there'll be tons of testing, guys. I'm going to test loads, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to figure it out. But this is kind of like my sort of situation here. Now, I want to obviously talk about PvP talents a little bit as well. Some of the best ones are kind of coming back. Controller Lava is awesome. Damage occurs 15% more often. We talked about this as well, because there's an option for it here. Let me find it. Flame Shock's damage over time effect now occurs 15% more quickly. You've got this as well, so that's 30% more quickly. And then with your Fire Elemental up, it deals damage 25% faster. Guys, this is all just different words for saying it all works together. 15%, 15%, 25%. That's 55% more quickly. That means your Lava Surges are going to be buffed to hell. They're going to be coming out so quickly because it's a proc chance on as it does damage. As we talked about here, look. Your Flame Shock damage over time has a 10% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Lava Burst. If it's doing damage, if it's doing the damage 55% more quickly whilst it's up, and especially whilst Fire Rally is up, you're going to have Lava Surges going all the time. And then you can spread the Flame Shocks incredibly easy with 3 seconds. Flame Shock there, Primordial Wave there, Flame Shock there. You've actually dotted up the whole team within 6 seconds, okay? And then you're shooting Lava Bursts out because they're proccing as well. So yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, that's why I'm saying buff the Lava Burst damage. Make sure you're getting the Fire Spells buff, because that's where your damage is going to come out. And also Lightning Bolt is going to hit hard. I always think it's good to have multiple different schools to cast on. That's why I love taking Stormkeeper. I think it also does a lot of damage. I think one of the big problems that Ellie has is you don't have as much on-demand damage, but you do have a lot of proc chances and a lot of procs and a lot of damage coming out, especially with this, with Deeply Rooted Elements. I think any of this options, you'll have a lot of damage kind of coming out, and the similar sort of build to what we have now in Shadowlands Season 3. So this is kind of what I'm excited for. So yeah, that's why I think Controller Lava is a must here, because I think also it has Dispel Protection, which is big. So I mean, again, you can put it back up very quickly. 3 seconds is nothing. It's a nothing cooldown. So yeah, looking really strong. I think Grounding Totem again is a must into pretty much any Wizard Cleave. I think it's just kind of go-to. Again, I think it is a totem. I don't know if it counts as nature, guys. I don't know if this talent, for example, I don't know if Flash of Lightning reduces the cooldown on it. I don't know whether it does. I'd have to test this out properly. But if it reduces the cooldown of totems, this is the most incredibly broken talent possible, because you'll be able to have Grounding Totem up all the time. You'll be able to have Tremor Totem up for pretty much every fear. So yeah, I will have a little test on that, and we'll do one, and I'll see what I find. But the other options you can go for are Sky Fury, you could go for Static Field Totem, and I think obviously you can take Lasso if you don't take it in the general tree, but I think it's kind of silly if you don't. I think it'd be really silly if you didn't take Lasso in the general tree. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's everything on the talents. I think these are awesome talents. I'm so excited by this because we have absolutely everything we could possibly want plus more. The only thing I'm incredibly sad about is that we do not have Echoing Shock, guys. Echoing Shock is gone. I can't find it anywhere. unless I'm totally blind, but it's not there. And I think really what they should be doing, and I'm probably going to be giving my feedback as much as possible, is that they should be putting, instead of Stormkeeper at the bottom here, they should be putting Echoing Shock. If they put Echoing Shock there, that would be insane, because Echoing Shock was a great ability, and I think it was one of the best things that Shadowlands added. It made me really excited. I thought as a playstyle, it was really cool. Guys, unless I'm totally stupid and I've missed it, I don't think it's in here. So I'm going to be suggesting that they move one of these Stormkeeper builds, either this Stormkeeper or this Stormkeeper, and make it into Echoing Shock, because that was an amazing ability. So that's going to be my feedback. But guys, let me know your thoughts on this. This was my deep dive. This was my deep dive into the talents. I think there's way more changes to come. Don't take this as the sort of set in stone. It might change. Things might be improved. I'm going to do my best to try and maybe get Echoing Shock back in there, but who knows at this stage. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Please stick around for more. Obviously, there'll be lots of Shaman, lots of Evoker content coming out. Obviously, the regular Shadowlands PvP content is going to be coming out. But otherwise, until next time, guys, see you.